For a closer look at the implications of Russia's troop movements on the Ukraine border and NATO's current and future potential role in the region, Jorge Benitez joins us. He's the director of NATO Source. A NATO spokeswoman today described the troop movements near the Ukraine border this way, saying this is a dangerous situation. What's your read on it?
It's a very dangerous escalation because at the same time as the separatists, the Russian infiltrated terrorists in eastern Ukraine are losing territory, we see Putin and his government not only increasing the arms that they're providing to them, but also doubling the amount of Russian troops on Ukraine's border.
Moscow, of course, counters by saying that those who are making these claims are selling soap bubbles.
They've been saying that for months now, but every week we see more and more evidence, from photographs on the scene to satellite imagery, that all these things are true.
Let me ask you this. Rasmussen meets with Poroshenko today. He has a dual message. One is he calls on Russia to step away from the brink. That was one of his quotes. The other is basically to say that the support of Ukraine is unwavering. And yet, what can NATO do at this stage? Because, I mean, aren't there members that are not keen on moving more troops into the region?
They're not. But actually, one of the things that Rasmussen announced today is that there's going to be a special meeting that he's invited the president of Ukraine to go to the NATO summit in September in the United Kingdom, where they're going to try to find more agreement and more cooperation to deepen the relationship between Ukraine and NATO. And in the meantime, NATO is helping with the Ukrainian government and military with defense planning and with defense reforms.
And beyond that, though, what can they do?
Well, as Rasmussen also said today, most of the things that people look for, such as communications equipment or aid or physical equipment being sent to the Ukraine, that's being done by NATO members on a national level. But in part of that, NATO has already created 4 trust funds to provide ways for members to send support to Ukraine.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel called on the Russian president again to use his influence with the separatists for the stabilization of Ukraine. She seems to have at least some relationship with Putin at this stage. Can she be a key player in trying to lower the temperature, do you think?
She has been for quite a while, but unfortunately in the last 2 weeks, her relationship with Putin has deteriorated. In fact, last week, the German government was complaining that Putin was not returning any of the calls that she made to him.
What about the tit-for-tat sanctions? How much more can that go on? What's the latest on those? I mean, is that going to have much of an impact on the West, do you think?
I think the sanctions that Putin has put on the West right now kind of shows that he lacks sophistication and understanding of economics. These sanctions are going to hurt the Russian people more than the West, because they're the ones that are going to be lacking in produce that they're getting more cheaper and of higher quality from the West.
Yeah, as someone who watches this quite closely, what should we be watching for in the next couple of days, do you think?
I think we should be greatly concerned about some of the steps that Putin might take over this weekend. For some time now, he's had an opportunity to tone down the rhetoric and to de-escalate the conflict. But he seems to be putting more of his chips on the table, more of his troops next to Ukraine. So as we've been hearing from Secretary Hagel all the way to Secretary General Rasmussen, there's a lot of concern that Putin may be taking a very dramatic step, and it might be very soon.
Jorge Benitez, always a delight having you in. Thanks so much for your analysis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.